In the month of November, we saw a whole lot of green. Now, the biggest thing we can see from these graphs, it was that post-US election hype. So to me, it wasn't necessarily as much about who won, but rather about how they won. So Trump won the majority as well as the regular vote. And because it was so far between him and Harris, I think there was just a lot of ability for the market to say, okay, we see the results and we can move on, rather than the contentious election where it's really down to the wire and we have to continue to count votes or recount votes throughout the coming days. It's just so far. So there was a lot of optimism about that. Now, coming down from that, we see a lot of analysis. We see the Trump cabinet picks, and they do seem to be pro-US market. So that is, at least in relation to Trump, that is related to tariffs, that is deregulation, and that is buoying up small mid-cap size companies. That will be good for our overall US market, and it has shown some weakness into the global market. Now, from there, very little was down. We do see the healthcare sector was green for the month, but it was down the most, especially with the RFK Jr. appointment. We can also look at gold. So Trump has a big Bitcoin agenda, or at least said he has, and he sees a strategic reserve there. And gold has been on the rise this year because of it possibly being a reserve, or it being a reserve for other nations to try to get off the US dollar. But Trump is trying to be pro-Bitcoin, is trying to make the US the hub for cryptocurrency, which, again, that is a good thing for the market. Now, the biggest thing that we're going to have to digest with Trump is he does seem to want to break something between the RFK appointment, the Department of Education discussions, these tariffs. There might be something that, quote unquote, breaks. That will be bad for the market. And Trump will have to balance how much does he want to do that, because he said he was going to, and how much he wants to make sure that the stock market goes up and the economy does well in these next 4 years, because he wants to be seen as a good president. And a good president happens to be around in good economic times. There's a lot to unpack there. We're not going to go into that right now. There just seems to be too much optimism going into this end of year, and you have the typical kind of Santa Claus rally, which there's a definition down here. There's, end of year parties, spending on gifts, spending on, going out to restaurants more. And there's, people have jobs right now and they have the money to spend on things. So there is just going to be a lot of good feeling, and that leads to this, what we anticipate as this Santa Claus rally. As we go into next year. Now, as we get into next year, we're going to see Inauguration Day. We're going to see what Trump actually tries to do. But that is a conversation for another day. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in December.